Park Commissioners meeting for Thursday, August 5th. Please call the roll.
Mr. Cappers.
I'm here.
Mr. Emmerich.
Here.
Mrs. Westphal.
Here.
Okay, we have our minutes of July 6, 2020 presented before us. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions of those minutes?
Nope.
No.
I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And they're hereby approved. Mr. Drake, good afternoon, sir.
Hello.
Do you have anything to add to your report?
Yeah, just a quick update. So we are up and running on CityWorks now, which is our new asset management system. So hopefully, I'll be very soon be able to generate the written reports through that system. So this may be the last month that you get a verbal report. But crews have been busy, normal maintenance as usual this time of year. We've been working through, cycling through several vacations, myself included, over the last couple of weeks. So everybody's pretty well back now at this point. Float Troy continues to be a success. We are getting good feedback on that from the people that have stayed with us this summer. This weekend is actually the last weekend of dates for Float Troy. So after Labor Day, we'll pull the tents next week and get those cleaned up and put away for the season. So that's going really, really well. I want to thank Matt Clifton and also Daniel Vance. We hired him. He was our new laborer that came on and right away was tasked with being support staff to Matt and being a full-time hands-on, boots on the ground person for Float Troy, and has acclimated really well and filling that role very, very well as well. So thank you to them. Most of our seasonal help is getting ready to go back to school. Had a lot of kind of younger kids this year that have worked out really, really well. So I've got them for about another week or so, and they'll be going back to school. I want to thank them as well, but overall things have moved along really nicely here for July and first part of August.
Okay. Of course, we're going to see you a little bit longer
Yeah.
after this part of the meeting's over. Any questions of Mr. Drake? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Seiler, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Do you have anything to add to your report, sir?
I just want to hit on a couple things. One is this Saturday evening is our last concert for the summer series down at Treasure Island. So that'll be Saturday evening. It's Motown Sounds of Touch, and that's at 7:30 p.m. And then also we had a really good month of July for the aquatic park. Things have kind of tamed down a little bit here with the temperatures kind of dropping here in the last, I guess, 4 or 5 days. But it's going to start ramping back up here with the temperatures again. So but we've had a really good summer overall, obviously compared to 2020. But 2019 was a really good year for us, and it's really shaping up to be about in comparison to what that was. So.
Oh, just a quick question.
Yes.
My wife and I were up walking the levee one early afternoon, and I noticed the pool was actually closed, or there wasn't anybody there. Are you open 7 days a week?
Yes, we haven't had a closed day since, I think, mid-June.
It was kind of
So I'm not
surprising.
sure.
What time of day do you open?
Saturdays we open at 11:30 and Sundays we
That's
open
what
at
it
1.
was. We were there before 11:30. Okay. Thank you. Just curious.
Puzzled me there for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
Any other questions of Mr. Seiler? Thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Brewer's not here. I don't have any planning commission report. Let's get into the new business. Approval of installation of a new gazebo near the monarch butterfly habitat at Treasure Island Park. Who's going to carry that conversation? Mr. Titterton?
Give you this. This will give you an idea of where we're talking.
It says, this is the approximate location I was thinking. Who's the I?
That would
Mr.
be
Drake?
Mr. Drake, yes. So I guess I'm here as a Rotarian, kind of both.
Not in
maybe.
official capacity?
Well, sure.
If you're here in a Rotarian, what's your name and address, please?
Oh, Lord. Patrick Tarrington, 683 King Richard Court here in Troy.
we've had at least a couple of discussions at the park board level regarding the library project, specifically related to Bruckner Park, talking about them wanting to take that over as part of their long-range plan and their building project. One of the primary issues that Rotary, or concerns, I'll say, not issues, but concerns between the city and the Rotary is the gazebo that's out there, and the fact that this is a park that's dedicated to a prominent citizen and also Rotarian, Clayton Bruckner. The loss of the gazebo, it is a pretty iconic gazebo. It is not one that can be picked up and moved. So if it goes away, it's going to be landfill material. It is one of our larger gazebos. That led me and the members of some of the Rotarians to trying to come up with maybe some ideas to swap out the gazebo, maybe put it at the monarch butterfly habitat, which the Rotary Club has been in part participants in creating in the first place. And so I reached out to Jeremy. We had a couple of meetings on it to see if that might be an idea that would work, and if so, where might it go, and then just to try to come up with a rough budget estimate to then do some fundraising to see if we could make that work. Jeremy went out there, and you see the location that he had circled in red as a good idea a good place to have it, assuming that the honeysuckle and some of the growth would be cleared out so that you'd have views not only into the Monarch area, the 5-acre area, but also over to the river, because it'll be very close to the river and river views. The budget that was developed is approximately $64,500, $64,500. That would include a 24-foot octagonal gazebo, steel. I think we're still talking steel. We kind of panicked a little bit on prices since in the conditions that we're in, but may have found some alternate suppliers that would be able to keep us within budget. We would pour a concrete base. That would be the flooring, so it would be a longer term base. With benches, we would include running some electric service, so the gazebo has electric, with a webcam and access to our Wi-Fi, which is one of the antennas is right across the river. We also talked about having, since this is a library supportive project, having kind of a cabinet that is I can't remember exactly what they call it, but it's a swapping library, take a book, leave a book, that kind of thing. And we have several locations where they do that now. We also have included some kind of a wildlife bird observation area, maybe in the middle of the actual habitat, where from the gazebo you're able to just take some binoculars. There'd be some feeders, working with some Rotarians to maybe alternate who would feed, who would replenish the supply, particularly in the winter when the birds need it more than the summertime. We would have one or two interpretive tableaus that kind of explain what they're seeing to enhance what we've got. I don't know if you've been out there to see the tableaus that we've got at the entrance of the habitat, but we do have explanations of what's out there, a map of the area, the walking paths and such. We are working on putting some signage in the 2 kiosks. They are bare right now, but we are working on some things to have a more detailed list of the wildflowers and some of the pollinator plants that are out there, as well as one that can be swapped out when the library, perhaps in partnership with Bruckner, would be able to have some educational sessions out at the gazebo. And so we could have a map or rather a schedule of events when it's more active. The objectives, of course, supporting the library in their request and trying to move the gazebo over, trading the gazebo space, if you will, creating educational and recreational space out to further enhance the monarch butterfly habitat out at Treasure Island. The $64,000, we have secured grants from the Troy Foundation, Troy Rotary Foundation, and Rotary International District 6670, which the Troy Rotary Club is a member of, to offset about a third of the cost. We would use some of the new ARP money, or as I affectionately call it, the federal funding money, as well as part of the 64.5 is recognition for grant purposes of the labor, the estimated number of hours that Jeremy and his staff would put in to install as much as possible. We would have outside contract for the concrete, order the gazebo kit, and the park department would assemble that and install it. Our staff would run the electric service and then do the IT that's required to get that all connected to the webcam, through the webcam to our website. I think that's it. We are asking for the official approval to actually do the project at the location that Mr. Drake is recommending.
Okay. Number of questions. First of all, has anybody approached the Conservancy District for permission to go ahead and place a structure on the property?
It is on our property. It's not on the district, so we're okay there.
It's in the flood zone though, isn't it?
It is actually above, it's in the area that won't flood. That was
Okay.
specifically
So there's a ditch, and then
identified.
that's the high ground.
Yes, it's the high ground.
Okay.
Yes, it
Thank you.
is.
And is the library putting any money into this pot?
They're not. They explored grant opportunities. Their only grant opportunity probably would be the Troy Foundation, since we were already doing that. But we are looking at, for them to help us with partnerships and make that an active use gazebo.
Okay, and then the impact on our park board budget is just by the employee time?
Just the staff time. There's really no ongoing operating costs on top of what's being done now out at the,
You know, when would this be planned for, and are staff available for doing that?
it would be in the off-season, probably towards the end of the year. The grant, at least two of the grants would need to be, the money would be spent and the project completed by spring of next year, which is good time.
So half the money is donated and half's coming from,
I'd say, well, a little more than, probably 40% is grant, unless you count the federal money, then all but about $12,000. $12,000 was the estimate on the labor costs at an average salary and budget, or a salary and benefit rate.
okay.
Any other questions?
No, glad we were able to kind of find a resolution to, possibly losing the one in Bruckner Park, so.
Sure.
Seems like a great spot for it.
Will there be a lot of trees removed from that area?
No,
Okay.
that was another factor that played into it. We actually lost a tree that blew down earlier this year, so maybe later we can, on the tour, we can tour
Yeah,
that site
I'd like
and
to
see
see it.
exactly where it'll go. So it'll be
Mhm.
a really good, I think a really good fit for this.
Good.
Good. I'll entertain a motion to approve or disapprove the installation of that new gazebo.
Motion to approve the placement of the new gazebo.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Cappers?
Yes?
Mr. Emmerich?
Yes?
Mrs. Westfall?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Patrick, would you extend our thanks to the Rotary Club?
Sure will. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next, we have Liberty Meadows subdivision fees and lieu discussion. Yes, sir.
So we received an application for a new subdivision called Liberty Meadows located on Troy Urbana Road. This is east of Hunters Ridge Drive. The proposed development consists entirely of single-family homes and 86.275 acres with 173 buildable lots that range from 0.275 acres to 0.67 acres. The developer is not proposing to provide any parkland and is requesting a review from the park board to consider fees in lieu of instead of the 3%, which in this case amounts to 2.58 acres of parkland required by the subdivision regs. Accepting fees in lieu of would result with $86,500 in the Park and Recreation capital budget. This number assumes all 173 building lots are constructed and developed. Staff is requesting that the Board of Park Commissioners recommend the Planning Commission to provide a positive recommendation to accept fees in lieu of instead of parkland for the development.
Okay, real quick, we each got 2 pages. They look to be about the same thing.
The second page includes the utilities.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you. And explain to us what the yellow areas
The
are.
yellow is actually drainage lots. It's called green space on the preliminary plat. It's actually drainage lots. So there's a large swale that runs in between in the yellow. And then the lot all the way to the, I guess, the north side of the development is actually like a buffering lot.
Okay. Is that green space taken into consideration in the fees and lieu calculation?
It's not, because it says that you cannot use stormwater areas for open space.
Just want to make sure of that. Okay. Where's the nearest park to this subdivision? Jeremy, do you?
Where, I didn't even catch
Oh, I'm sorry, we should pass that down to Jeremy. This is near Hunters Ridge, Lee Road, up through there. Mark?
Probably Archer. Actually, we've got 2 ball fields at Campbell, of course, that's gonna be the absolute closest, but as far as, at Cookson School.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, I think Archer would be our closest.
I guess the discussion is having money for our account, it's going to dribble in, folks. It's not going to be all at one time. If we go with fees in lieu versus a 3-acre tract, almost a 2.5 acre tract of parkland someplace, and the issue is neighborhood park versus no neighborhood park. What are you guys feeling? If they have to go over to Archer Park or even down to Cookson, the concern is, would they do that? Is it, there's 173 building lots, are we better served with having a neighborhood park? What's your feeling?
Can I add something to that,
Who are you?
please? Tim Davis, 100 South Market Street. We looked at this, and when we were talking about it, Halifax Estates has a park that is open to the public, which is right across the street. So that was one of the reasons that we were thinking of accepting fees in lieu of. It is a private park, but open to everyone in the community, not just Halifax residents.
And thank you. And how big's the Halifax Park?
I can get that information to you.
Is it this big? Or
It's a pretty good sized park.
Okay, so people can play ball over there, or?
They have playground equipment, swings. I don't know if there's any fields for them. I know there's a walking trail around the pond, an oversized pond as well, all within that park area.
They'd have to cross Troy Urbana Road, though.
They would have to cross Troy Urbana Road.
Okay, and there's is it directly opposite the Wyatt Road intersection or the Lead Road? I'm not quite sure where this, oh, here it is, right here. Liberty Way.
Okay.
I mean, where would they have to cross, and is there an intersection there that they
So,
could cross at?
Austin, do you have it on the map?
Yeah, I'm looking.
I know the park in Halifax is located on the east, I guess would be the southeast side of the development, close to DeWeese Road.
This shows Forest View subdivision, just opposite this subdivision towards the north.
There is sidewalks all the way up until 1518 Troy Urbana Road, which those 2 properties are out in the county.
Okay.
And then they would assume have to cross over either at Saratoga or down at Barrington.
And those aren't on this map, I don't see.
No, those are not on the map.
Is it up here, down here?
It's located just right over here. So this is north, all the way up and down.
Right.
It's located over there.
Okay. Okay. You know, we've always got to be concerned with safety, crossing Troy Urbana Road, which isn't a very, it's a traveled road, and people aren't real slow down that road. I'm just concerned about that. I don't know. When I first came on the park board, it was all about having neighborhood parks, pocket parks. And then anymore, it's like, gee, parents pick up their kids and they drive to the big parks. I'm not sure that's still the case. I mean, you live next to a park, so you don't
Yeah.
have to worry about it. But I don't
And
know.
what was the parkland size again, if it was,
2.5 acres, about 2.58.
is there a comparison you can throw out there, Jeremy, real quick?
Westbrook.
Oh, is it?
Westbrook Park's a 3-acre park.
About the
Yeah,
same.
yeah.
There is a shared use path that's going on the south side of Halifax as well.
Okay. Where does that marry up with the sidewalks leading to this park, or this subdivision?
I believe it crosses over Barrington. I'm not sure where it connects, how it connects into Troy Urbana Road.
Okay, but is there pedestrian access without having to cross into a ditch across the road to get there? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I imagine it's up here, right? And they gotta cross.
Yeah, I don't know.
That would just be easy to show.
Yeah, please
Yeah.
do.
So, hang on, upside down.
Where's north?
But this would be
That's Halifax.
yes. And their park is located right here. So this is all their parkland here.
And where's the
Walking
sub-
trail around that.
Where's the subdivision?
Subdivision. It's right here.
In this field area?
Mhm.
And then are we going to have sidewalk then coming up to that park, or?
This is actually outside the city. We would have them come here, walk up here, and then walk the sidewalk to this area.
But there is sidewalk here and along here
Correct.
from that area. How about access to this subdivision from this street?
There is a stub street right
Okay.
here of Wyatt Road.
Wyatt Road,
Okay.
I saw that. Okay,
That's
thank you.
pretty close.
Yeah. All right. Did planning department have any other issues with the fees in lieu versus park property? Jeremy, what are your thoughts?
I think at this point, with no more thought and additional staff, we should take fees in lieu of.
Okay. Or we can take the park property and we can lobby for additional staff.
I'll just keep my,
Let's keep the Rotarian out of this case. Okay, what do you guys want to do?
I mean, I understand the argument both ways. I mean, I think I'd just probably defer right now to the, kind of the positive recommendation here that they have. So I would be okay with accepting fees in lieu of.
I would too.
Okay.
I'd second that.
All right, so is that a motion? then?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept fees in lieu of.
And second by.
Positive recommendation to
Yes.
accept.
Second that.
Okay, any further discussion? There's been a motion made with support of the motion to accept fees in lieu for this new Liberty Meadows subdivision. Please call the roll.
Mr. Cappers?
Yes.
Mr. Emmerich?
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the events on park property update. Mrs. Knight, how are you?
Well, how are you?
Yeah.
So this will be rather brief. The Troy Main Street would like to be able to use maybe a small area of Prouty Plaza tomorrow as part of their Friday event with the nonprofits. There's going to be a little bit of games like cornhole and things on Prouty Plaza, and we don't think we had maybe mentioned that little part to you before. There was a July concert of Troy Main Street that got rained out. That was a nighttime rain, didn't affect the swimming pools that Ken mentioned, so they did well. But it rained out the concert, and I emailed you, they wanted to reschedule that for September the 3rd. So that would be another use. And one change is the pep rally is actually scheduled by the high school. They want to use Prouty Plaza on Thursday the 2nd because the Troy Pickle football game shall be early. So if we could have approval of those changes, those are the,
Are any of them requesting city services?
no more than, nothing different at all.
So really, you don't need our approval, you're just updating us.
You
Is that right?
usually approve a whole list, so we're just kind of altering what you had. And we didn't want you to be caught unawares by these
Thank you very much.
items. You know, you don't like to be surprised.
Appreciate that.
Okay,
So you do want approval of these?
that would be nice.
Okay. I would move that we approve the events recited by Mrs. Knight.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Please call the roll, Abby.
Mr. Cappers?
Yes.
Mr. Emmerich?
Yep.
Mrs. Westfall?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Titterington, Mrs. Knight, do you have anything further to come before the commission? You do?
I'm putting my official hat back
Okay.
on, if I can. Just a couple of things, well, 4 things now, since I do want to get on the record on the one from earlier. An event that you don't have to approve, but we want you to be aware of, like we want everybody to be aware. 9/11 is the 20th anniversary of the event, and the County Veterans Services was able to secure the Tunnels to Towers mobile exhibit. It's actually a moving museum with tours, and Troy is going to host that. Miami County was going to host it at the fairgrounds. That didn't work out, so they're moving into Troy proper. And so there will be a formal escort by with each of the law enforcement and first responder agencies in the county escorting the trailer in. Sue, what did they say? It was like 80 feet long?
Yes.
Longer than that, something like that. A big semi, and it's got the blowout sides. It's a pretty big structure. They will be escorted in about 6:30 on Thursday the 9th. We are closing down West Main Street from the Prouty Plaza side out to Adams Street from the 9th through sometime during the day or night of the 12th. We will open back up. It is a 3-day event. That we will have tours. We're telling everybody, we expect that the crowds are going to be pretty large. If you watched the Olympics, they actually paid for ads for this, for the Troy event during the Olympics several times. The Veteran Services have heard from at least one tour group that's going to be bringing a bus, if not multiple buses in, which tells us, because we're the only one, not only in Ohio, but for several hundred miles around, that we will probably get some interest, hopefully all positive and not anything that we need to be concerned with, because we know we could potentially be a target. September 11th with the weather, could be good, could be bad, but we do expect large crowds. Not many people can get through the tour. It is about a 30-minute tour. 30 people at a time can go through. They can do 3 tours simultaneously. So for the number of hours and the number of days that are involved, we don't expect nearly everybody's going to be able to get through it. But nonetheless, it is going to be closed down. Friday night, we are looking at possibly having a concert. So since there are witnesses, I will tell Mr. Drake right now that we are hoping that the showmobile can be parked on Main Street. Shouldn't be too difficult, but just one more thing to do, right? On Saturday at noon, they are planning on having a sound off of all of the with all of the first responder units, just, I don't know, however you do a sound off. And then at 7 o'clock, there will be about an hour and a half ceremony, a more formal ceremony. During that time, during that weekend, we will be having in Troy, Thursday, the junior high regional track meet. On Friday, the high school football game will be that evening, and then, as I mentioned, possibly a concert. On Saturday, the regional track meet for the high school, as well as cross-country, yes, cross-country, thank you. Also, Porch Fest is that Saturday as well. Sunday morning, we will have the Winans Run. Ken, help me out, I think there's a concert Sunday night. So it'll be a busy weekend, but I think a good busy weekend. And so we're working with the county, the Veterans Services, Troy Main Street, the Convention Visitors Bureau, and of course, all of our staff to make that successful. It kind of came back to Troy suddenly that we're going to park it basically in front of the courthouse, facing the courthouse plaza, so we can make good use of the new facilities out there as well. So,
Is there a fee to go through it?
no, it's going to be first come, first serve, which means that we need to be kind of Disney-like and distract people when they're standing in lines and offer some other things. The fairgrounds have offered all the parking to go there. While this is going on, so we're trying to work out a shuttle route because the Veterans Museum down on 25A, they're going to run some events as well, primarily on Saturday, maybe only on Saturday.
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday, okay, well, all 3 days then. At kind of different times, but we're going to coordinate the shuttles so that they're drop-off points all the way along, and we can hopefully keep as much parked traffic at the fairgrounds. So we'll be working on signage and routing and that kind of thing. So
Will there be
Should
any
be big.
food trucks or anything for people to get something to eat or drink?
We just talked about that. There were no plans to have any water or anything for sale on Friday and Sunday. Saturday there will be as part of Porch Fest. They will have food trucks out there. I think there may be some rethinking about that. We didn't want to, originally, I don't think people really realized how many people could really show up. And so we're getting there. We're now going to meet weekly, moving since it's about a month away. And so that's still on our agenda to take care of.
So the closest one is in another state? What's,
Yes, I'm not sure which state, but it may not even be an adjacent state. Yeah, there were 80 applications for Ohio alone, and we were chosen. Very popular, and the fact that this is actually on 9/11 and the 20th anniversary, of course, it's once in a lifetime, so.
yeah.
So that's the first item. I will be presenting to council Monday night at our normal committee meeting night. It'll be a council meeting, or it'll be a committee meeting of the whole, meaning all the council members will be at that particular meeting to discuss the American Rescue Plan money, the federal funding money, and how we'd like to see that allocated. Over the next 2 years, we will be receiving approximately $2.75 million. We've received our first half of that into a special account. The reason I bring it up to the park board is, and they've not seen this list yet, so I'm not throwing the council under the bus, which has been my habit lately, I guess, and elected or appointed bodies. But there are several items that I'm recommending over the next couple of years be funded as capital support, equipment support for parks and recreation type items. For example, the Miami Shores Equipment Shed, I finally got what we think is a current decent quote, and this is nothing elaborate, it's really just to shelter the equipment. It is something I'm going to be asking the council to authorize so that we can try to go out to bid and do this year so that the equipment can be sheltered over the winter months. We're estimating $100,000 for that. That again would be a 2021. We recently sold the Hewells Camp Farm house with not having a really current estimate, not sure what the gap is. We had committed that when we sold that house, those funds would be earmarked in the police and park and recreation capital fund for the replacement of the park maintenance facility to get that off of the arena grounds and into Duke Park. So I've included for 2022 discussion during the budget $75,000 as kind of the gap funding
How much did the property sell for?
A little less than 200,000, 180, 185, something like that.
So we're looking at 250.
About 250, yeah. And
Does that come within our budget? Okay.
yeah, and so doing this, I have it on the spreadsheet just so the council knows, but we'll have more discussion during the 2022 budget, which hopefully will have some more recent estimates. But that's kind of what I'm earmarking for now. Let's see, what else? In addition to the equipment shed at the shores, there was an amount of concrete that we could not replace during the clubhouse replacement project. So it's to the right of the clubhouse as you're walking up. When you go down the hill where the golf carts are now, the kind of the parking area that's been spidering and it's got a lot of cracks. For $15,000, we can get that replaced. Not something council has to authorize as a project, but still on the list that I want to make sure that council knows and is okay with. The reserve at Duke Park, the Robinson Reserve at Duke Park, this is would be the half, the 50% match. Converting a ball field from practice to a game field out at Archer Park, that second field that's back there, I guess that's north, the north field, so that we can add a play field, U12-13. Also, something that I'd like council to discuss in 2022, but earmarking some of this money, would be the park signage and updating that signage. So I've asked Lauren and Salome to continue looking at some ideas so that we can present those and look at some new ground signs at the major parks, as well as some identification signs for some of the smaller parks, all of the smaller parks, I should say. The Treasure Island Park, the gazebo and the learning center that I mentioned. So those are just some items that we're earmarking. We've got several other things that in a way, I guess, impact the park board and the quality of life, some economic development and capital and infrastructure improvements that we want to do, as well as police and fire capital needs that they've got, since they, as the first responders, have been putting up with most of this, if not all of it, since 2020. It's been so long. So just an update there. Again, Monday night is our committee meeting, with the hopes that then the council would approve the three projects that I need authorization for bidding at the following meeting. So that's item 2. Duke Park, mentioned before the meeting. It was required to be closed for the last couple of days. Should be open by now. The contractor was on track to get that open by 5 o'clock today. That was unfortunately because of the construction and the way the dirt has been. It's been softer and less stable than we had hoped. So we're doing some work there. There was also a phone line cut and some telephone poles or phone line poles that had to be replaced. And so it just became too hazardous for us to keep Duke Park open. So Ken and his staff thankfully were reaching out to as many of the teams as possible to get them to change their practice facilities. We do anticipate, weather permitting, that on Tuesday, this next Tuesday morning from 8 to 12, that Duke Park will have to be closed because we will have a sewer lateral that needs to be placed across the road just north of the entrance to Duke Park. And we will be reaching out to the few groups that we think might want to use the facility at that time, primarily the pickleball teams, to let them know that for that time period they can't be out there. But it should be hopefully a short and quick diversion. And then finally, I will, on the record, admit and apologize for my misstatement on Monday night. We did have an issue with the flower pots and the safety. We are looking at, we are asking our traffic engineer to do a review of what we have out there and whether we need to do any enhancements. One of the focal points of the discussion Monday night were the flowers and the vegetation in the flower pots, particularly related to the trellises that take the 2-foot tall flower pots and elevate flowers 5 feet in the air, and whatever the design element was for the floral arrangements this year, they were vines and they were trellises, and so there was some concern that they were hiding people in the landing spot between the two lanes of traffic. And I misspoke and said that the Beautification Commission recommends to the Park Board, which is not true. They recommend to the Planning Commission, who then approves the annual flower arrangements. So
I want to mention a couple things while we're on that subject. Has the city ever considered something like a rumble strip or something that would go across to wake people up so they're not looking at the flowers and stuff?
Those are not recommended for a couple of reasons. Keeping in mind the level of traffic that we have and the fact that those are two state highways. Okay, so we not only get your normal traffic, we get farm equipment, we get lots of semis that go through there. That is one of the first places in inclement weather that we want to salt and plow. Rumble strips don't make that easy. You know, we've not talked about wanting to do those. There have been discussions about humps. Unfortunately, the speed at which some of the traffic comes out of the roundabout, if you do anything to change the level, you risk causing other types of accidents like airborne accidents, which sounds far-fetched, but maybe not so much. But there may be some other things that we can do. In other roundabouts, there are concrete islands. We're not sure that we can do concrete islands because of the type of traffic that we get, the oversized vehicles that come through, because that is a route for oversized vehicles with ODOT, as well as from time to time we do get truck semis that will park in the middle lane to do deliveries. And that makes it more difficult for them to do that if we have the concrete. There may be some other visual ways to send that message, as well as something maybe a little bit more permanent, or something that could, how do I want to say, reinforce the flower pots, such as removable bollards inside of them, or instead of the flower pots have bollards, and then, you know, maybe have the flower baskets around them, and if they hit the bollard, they're hitting a bollard that's rated at least 30 miles per hour, so.
And the law requires you to have a halfway point break of some kind.
Require is strong. They never go as far as saying that you're going to go to jail if you don't do it. It's all about warrants, what's warranted or not. And when you have a crosswalk on a street that's rated the way our roundabout streets are, or our intersections are, that is wide enough, then they want a landing spot, a safe space in the middle, because ultimately it comes down to driver attention. I mean, you know.
Which means we got to get
And-
their attention, because they're
Well,
not getting it.
often they're not, you're right. And then just reinforcing that to the pedestrians, most of whom know this from when they were a toddler or first learning how to walk outside their own driveway, you know, look both ways before you cross. It's pedestrians continuing that practice to make sure that somebody stops before they step off that curb.
It just seems that you ought to have something that would draw the attention of the drivers to alert them earlier than when you get to the crosswalk.
And that's-
I've almost been hit.
Yes,
And that's-
I have too.
Oh,
I
I-
have almost been, we've had this discussion.
Quick story, since we got 10 minutes. I got the email that morning from the president of council, who was asking about whether we could or should remove the vines. I really hadn't been paying that much attention to the vines, so in the midst of emailing him a response, I picked up a tape measure, walked down to the intersection to just measure, you know, how wide and how tall and everything. And I had to stand there while a large, oversized, dually white pickup truck, I won't say the license plate number, just looking straight ahead, went through, and the guy behind him looked at me, smirked, shook his head like, what are you going to do? You know, it's just awareness.
But we need some tickets occasionally too.
Well, and they do. It's just that as soon as they go away, the behavior starts. It doesn't matter if it's in the roundabout, in a crosswalk, or in a neighborhood. If we get somebody calling saying that Stony Ridge is being used as a drag strip, we'll go out there for a week, and lo and behold, most of the tickets will be from people that live in the neighborhood. But then once we go, you know, they're
But I
back to
really
their own
think people
habits.
don't know what the laws are when there's a pedestrian.
You're right.
And maybe something needs to go out with your bill or something that educates people, hey, this is what the laws are, this is what we're gonna do if we catch you, and, you know, start creating some awareness. that
We
will
have-
give you a ticket.
We have talked internally about doing just that. Thought it might be, we will probably do this by the end of the week. We will start doing that more often. We do that every once in a while, but we realize we need to do that a lot more often. And so we will be doing that as well. But we did tell council, we did commit to council that the traffic engineer that made the recommendations in 2018, we're asking him to come back, review those, do new counts if he thinks it's necessary, tell us what other types of improvements we should do, because ultimately our defense relies on the experts, and the traffic engineer is the one that's going to be sitting in the witness box if it ever comes to something like that.
Right.
I don't want to end this discussion concerning the flowers on the square without complimenting the beautification committee of the city of Troy, because the flowers on the bridges and throughout the downtown look absolutely spectacular.
They do.
Oh, they do,
They're
and you're
beautiful
absolutely
city.
right. And we get compliments all the time. You know, I think we remove those pots. We'll hear from the other side of this.
I heard a person down in Tip City who was addressing their council concerning what you can do to beautify Tip City. They were saying, well, Troy does this, this, and this, and just a really compliment to our city.
Well, we may, you know, I mentioned the bollards. You know, if you can picture you know, you're going into one of the parking lots of the quad, and you see the bollards that have the lights at the curb. You guys put the baskets around those. Okay, so if we have the military-grade bollards that can be removed if we need to, and then we could supplement them for special events, and if we dress those up with the baskets around them, then we're safer, so if a car hits it, the car's going to be stopped dead, but we still have some beautification. Maybe there's a middle ground.
I do think they hide strollers, wheelchairs, you know, those kinds of things because of the nature of an object being there, so they do hide things. People.
Okay, what else you got?
What else you want to know? That's it. That's all on my list.
Did you get your all
That's
four
it.
items taken care of?
That's all four.
Okay, next thing I want to talk about is the sale of the real estate. A few months ago, we authorized a sale of excess property.
Yeah,
Could you give us an update?
those are out for bid, I heard, right? Yeah.
Bid opening is later this month.
Thank you. Also, you mentioned in conjunction with the Monarch Butterfly gazebo, the library might put a share box down there. Where, does the library have one of those on its site now? Or, I know, the reason I say that is I know that the share boxes are staffed by the Altrusa Club, not the library.
Okay.
Unless the library's also doing it, I'm not sure. But it's Altrusa.
You could be right. I can follow up and get more details on that.
Yeah.
Our point is that, you know, we want to make this something that the library and library-type activities,
Sure.
that's an amenity that's offered to that.
If you need a
aspect.
contact for those boxes, the Altrusa Club does it.
Okay.
Their motto is literacy, so.
Good to know.
Any other questions of Mr. Titterton? Mayor, how you doing? Anything you want to have considered by the commission? Okay. Next thing on the agenda, the tour of parks. We have a lot to talk about before we go out into the field. Gentlemen, you don't need to stay for this if you don't want to. You're welcome to if you want, but we need to have a little time. It's still a public meeting. You're welcome to stay if you want. Okay, let's talk about one of the things that we're doing is we've all visited our parks that we've been assigned for the purpose of helping Jeremy develop a budget, which is going to be coming up.
Is that in our packet, or did you print that?
No, this is the one I sent to you.
Yeah, but mine's on
And
my
Jeremy
phone.
sent, or
Yeah,
Jordan
mine's
sent
on
me
my phone.
his, okay. So we're going to go out and view some larger parks as a group, but as far as the smaller parks, why don't we just go down the list? I had Boyer Park. Jeremy, there is some spray paint graffiti there, and the bench facing the playground equipment's rusting up at the top. No big deal as far as the budget's concerned, but you might be able to put that on a list for your group to do. Jordan had indicated out in Bruckner Park, it looks great. Used the Wi-Fi too. That's great.
That's great.
Campbell Park is 2 ball fields. It appears to be in good shape. Susan, comments concerning Carriage Crossing Park?
No problems. I sent you my stuff, so
Yeah.
did I have anything on that? I don't have it in front of me.
I tried to print it off before I.
I know, I did too, and I couldn't get it.
Yeah. Carriage Crossing, fascia boards with shoulder deep paint.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
that's the only thing I saw there.
Okay. We'll go out and see Community Park and Duke Park on our own. Hurling Park, Jordan, and one missing basketball net.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it looks
that was
great.
it. I thought it was like the best it's looked in 4 years. Yeah. It's-
Good.
Good.
And Haywood Park, removing the trees really helped. And
Yep.
signage is still missing. We heard a little bit about signage.
Yeah, that's great.
today.
That's great to hear that.
Hook Park, Susan?
Yeah, I'd have to
Hook
look at
was, the north ball field bench.
the
on right
benches,
was-
yeah. There were
I don't know what happened
one on
there.
one side and one on the other side.
Okay.
The benches looked like they had just been
Someone
like
must have tweaked them.
yeah,
Okay.
twisted or something, they would look like they were.
Those are the player benches, right?
Yes, yes,
Susan, you want to talk about Kensington while you're at it?
Kensington, you have okay.
yeah, I didn't have any problems.
Bears Park.
Jordan,
Yeah,
Kings
it's
Chapel
fine.
Park.
So I thought King's Chapel was fine. That water fountain is like disconnected, but I remember that like a couple years ago, so I don't know if we did that intentionally.
Yeah, I
not.
think it was.
I think we did.
Intentionally.
We were having issues with that, and I'll follow up.
Yeah, I think we might have done it intentionally, but then, on the playground side is how I like to call it, is like, I thought, hey, maybe if we have a trash can, it might to have one over
We
there.
had
but-
one, there should be one by the shelter. Was
There's
there-
one by the shelter, yeah. I mean, it's like,
Oh, you're talking about the playground on the far side?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I didn't know.
across the pond.
Yep, okay.
Okay, Susan, Mayor's Park.
That's beautiful.
Okay. McKagan Race Park, Jordan, good,
Yeah,
nothing
that's
needed.
fine, yeah,
Same with Meadow Park, good, nothing noted.
yep.
North Park at Street Fields, Jordan.
I mean,
Stairs.
yeah, stairs.
Bleachers.
The stairs were there. I mean, there was some equipment that was kind of hanging around. I didn't know like what was baseball, what wasn't, but I mean,
Yeah,
I assume that was baseball stuff sitting out there.
yeah, I think that'll probably stay for the duration.
There's like
I
a
mean, it-
pitching mound, like a not a
Oh,
pitching
yeah,
mound, it was
the
like
ramp.
the ramp at it.
They're portable for, like, that's a bullpen area that they can make up and
Gotcha.
move around as we need to.
Menke Park, Susan.
It was fine. I didn't see any
And
problems.
we'll go see the skate park. Trade Square Soccer Field, Susan.
I didn't see any problems there either.
Uh,
I noted the Hobart Brothers donation.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the picnic
It's pretty
tables
nice.
Yeah.
And the new set of goals, which is
Yeah.
much.
That'll
That's
be
awesome.
nice.
That's been on the list. Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised they haven't donated that to the parks,
Yeah.
property. That's okay. I
Also,
appreciate,
that's-
I appreciate their donation. Okay. Trinity Park, Susan.
I just noted that the soccer goals needed
We're
painted.
actually gonna swap those out. Those are,
Okay.
we've got new, aluminum portables that are gonna go in here, so those. are-
Perfect.
Trosa Park, I took a look at that. That's the ball diamond down there that Mr. Mercer's been taking care of. It looks fantastic.
Beautiful, yeah.
Troy Aquatic Park, we're not going to mention anything about that. That's their jurisdiction. Waco Park. You meant, that's for sale.
Yeah, that's what I
Right.
thought, and I was
Right.
just like, well,
We'll probably delete that in the future if it sells.
yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
thought. I was actually surprised it was on the list. I was reaching out to you.
Right. Waterbury Park, Waterbury Park is just a retention area. There's nothing out there but grass, and it looked really nice, but just grass. Westbrook Park, Susan?
I had no problems there.
Okay. Okay. Jeremy, do you have any questions of us concerning that? That is actually the least amount of items of note for you, I think, that we've had.
Yeah.
That's, I feel like, I was hoping, I feel like each year we've made a lot of progress in our maintenance
Yeah.
program, and I think it's really showing. So,
Because you incorporate these into your program
Yeah.
somehow.
yeah,
Okay, why don't we go out and take a look at those major parks in Mass?
Just as a heads up, I've had a couple of pickleball people contact me
Yeah.
and say that the courts
yeah.
need work.
We're gonna, I got that in here. Let's
Okay.
do that. Do we need to officially adjourn?
Well,
You don't adjourn until you're done, so I'll just need someone to tell me who made the motion and
What
who
time?
seconded, and then what time.
would you turn off
Okay.
the?
Yes.